Well, hello there, Tankers of the Blitz universe. I'm Flossie, and yes, it has been 2 weeks since I've made a video. I have been doing a ton of streams, however, so if you do want to see more of my content, then of course subscribe to the channel first off, but also make sure you watch my streams when I do stream almost daily, because that has been more fun recently to me. So anyways, today we are going to be making a video, and it is on the 116F3. So I know I'm about a week late to reviewing this tank, but I did want to wait until I got about 100 battles in this thing to give a proper review on how I see this tank fitting into the current meta. And you can see here I've gotten over 3,000 damage in this tank with over 100 games, or on the dot 100 games, and a 61% win rate. So I'm not doing too bad in it. My teams were terrible, but anyways, enough of that. I will be breaking into the tank's stats to start things off. And then I will be showcasing 3 replays that I did get throughout these 100 battles that I have played. And these are what I believe are my best replays in the tank so far that really just showcase the tank's strengths and honestly some of its weaknesses. So first, let's break into the stats of this tank, starting off with its gun. The tank deals 490 alpha on its standard shells, 410 on the heat, and 630 on the HE. So wow, that heat alpha damage drops off like crazy. That is one of the many downsides of this tank, is the second you switch to Pramo, you lose 80 alpha damage. Don't know why, but it is what it is. And in terms of your gun depression, you have 6 degrees, which on most tanks might not be the worst thing in the world, but on a tank like the 116F3, I'll break into it more later, but this thing really suffers with 6 degrees of gun depression. One thing that it doesn't suffer with, however, is its penetration. It has 283 millimeters of standard pen, 384 heat, and 81 HE. So 384 heat, of course I'm using calibrated shells, but that is fantastic pen, and you are going to have 0 problems penning your opponents. In terms of your overall gun handling, you have an aim time of 4.4 seconds and a dispersion of 0.343. So this is where the tank really struggles. Its gun handling sucks. It is awful. 50% of the time you're going to be missing your shells, which is honestly one of the things I wish this tank had changed. I wish its gun was way more accurate. It would make the tank a lot more enjoyable. Your DPM of 2428 is honestly not that bad, but it's nothing special either. You're kind of in the middle of the pack when it comes to tier 10 heavies. In terms of your mobility, you go 42 forward and 15 in reverse, which is nothing too bad. You'll see the forward speed is quite nice, but the power to weight on this tank is awful. 13.9 power to weight is really, really slow off the line, and it's going to cause you some problems. But with all of that out of the way, let's break into the consumables and equipment this tank carries. You can see here it has reactive armor. Now, my loadout does not have reactive armor in it at all because this tank loves to get tracked. It loves to get its modules damaged, which is another huge downside. We love Chinese engineering, guys. And so for that reason, I do not use reactive armor. I would much rather have adrenaline, and reactive on this tank, in my personal opinion, does absolutely nothing for you. In terms of your provisions that I recommend you use, you do have enhanced sandbag armor as well as the standard one, but I recommend you only use the enhanced sandbag armor, improved fuel, and of course the big food. That is my loadout there, and I do use refined gun to try to help out with that horrible, horrible gun handling a little bit, and the rest is pretty standard. So let's break into some replays I did get in this tank while playing 100 games in it. And here we are on Dead Rail for replay number 1. You can see the enemy team has a Caro, a Chieftain, 183 T100 Cobra SU, and my team also has a lot of medium tanks, so chances are this is going to be a more medium side brawl. Now, I haven't watched these replays for about a week since I did play this tank, because I got my 100 battles finished in about 2 days after the tank was released. This video was supposed to be made on, like, I don't know, Monday, if not before. But anyways, here we are. And the 116F3 obviously is not mobile enough to go medium side. So in a map, or on a map like Dead Rail, I'm going to position myself in mid, which in most cases would be nice in a lot of other heavies. But the 116F3 only has 6 degrees of gun depression, and you might be thinking, well, what's the problem with that? Well, one thing I haven't mentioned about this tank yet is the armor profile. Guys, this armor profile, it's not a heavy tank, bro. Its armor profile is crap, dude. The turret on this tank is like, what, 310 millimeters thick on the turret cheeks at the weakest spot. And what that means is even medium tanks at tier 10 can just butter right through your turret. And that is the strongest part of your tank, guys. Yes, you heard that right. That is the strongest part of your tank, and everyone at tier 10 can butter right through you. So what's the point of having 6 degrees of gun depression? You need more gun depression for a tank with this kind of armor profile. That's kind of the point I'm getting at here. With such bad turret armor, you're going to have to play insanely passive in this tank, where, honestly, in a lot of tanks that have a similar playstyle to this, you're just going to do better. Like, a 113 has more turret armor than this in every single way. Yeah, so, I don't know. The armor profile is really mid on the turret. Now, the hull is no different. Your upper plate is kind of troll until you load gold, and then it's just a pen. Same with the lower plate. Obviously, the lower plate can be a little bit troll at certain angles, but it's pretty much a pen for anyone using standard ammo. And yeah, you might be thinking, well, maybe you can side scrape the tank. No, you can't. You literally can't. Honestly, I would say this has one of the worst armor profiles for a tier 10 heavy in general. Its armor while side scraping is almost worse than a 215B's side scraping capabilities. And that is saying something, considering the 215B is not meant for side scraping at all. This tank, you can pen it at like a 90-degree angle because of the way the sides are sloped and angled. It's very, very odd, guys. It really is. So you can't rely on your armor profile at all. You really have to rely on the fact that your teammates are going to help you, which in this day and age in Blitz doesn't happen very often. Unfortunately, we missed that T100, but that's okay. We're already at 3,000 damage somehow. I don't know how we got 3,000 damage out. I guess it was the 183 that poked and bled all of his health. But we're not doing too bad this game. And honestly, the gun, this battle, and for all of these replays I'm going to show you, works like 85% of the time, which is actually very surprising. But the way you're going to do that in a tank like the 116F3 is you need to fully aim in your shots. That is why I have refined gun on this thing. Most of the time I'm just sitting still, fully aiming my shots, and then firing when I know I can most likely hit the shot. I'm not really rushing my shells because that will result in me missing everything and just getting mad and then never wanting to play this tank again. But anyways, our 268 is actually doing a fantastic job sitting in the corner there. He does pick up the T100 on the enemy team, which is vital for us winning this battle, because if that T100 was able to flank into our spawn, maybe even take that TD position over there, it would have been game over, because I don't have the view range, I don't have the mobility, and honestly, I don't have the armor against a tank like the T100 to stop him from destroying me. So, thank God he's out of the game. Thank you very much, 268. And now I'm going to play super passive until I know where the tanks like the 183 are spotted, where the SU is spotted, and hello, where the E3 is spotted. So we do, of course, see him rushing our 268. And what that means is I'm going to try to get to a position where I can support him. But I'm, of course, looking out for the other 3 tanks on the battlefield, and mainly that 183. I see the Cobras spotted in their spawn, and the 183 is most likely not there, and oh, hello, there he is. Lucky for me, bro has the reaction time of a sloth, so I was able to kill him before he was able to shoot me, so that's excellent stuff right there. Unfortunately, our 183 does die, but I'm not too worried about this one-shot Cobra. I'm more worried about the fact that, oh yes, there is a full health SU in front of me. Now, for some reason, bro actually manages to bounce my tank. Again, if you look at the armor profile on like Armor Inspector or in any one of the other videos that are covering this vehicle, you will see this thing has no armor. It's really, really bad. And a tank like the SU-122-54 that has a lot of pen should not be bouncing my lower plate. But I know that I do have higher alpha than him, so I'm not too worried about trading a shot or two with him. You can see here my reverse speed is not too terrible, like 15 is not the greatest, but it's also not the worst, so we were able to get around the rock. And our 268 took one for the team from that SU. So I'm going to try and finish off this SU if I can here. I really just want to get him out of the game. And just like that, we do so. We do take a shot from the E3. But at this point in the battle, it doesn't really matter. Our 268 hits a lovely 740 damage shot into that guy's tank. And now it's a 2v1. We're up on base cap. There's only a minute left, so even if I were to die, we would still be okay. So, of course, with that out of the way, I do still want more damage. I'm at 5,400 damage, as you can see here in the top left, and that's very close to 6,000 damage, and I'd love to hit 6,000 damage in a weird, awful tank like this. So, I aim in my shot on the E3's lower plate, fully aimed in, ample time to get my shell to hit, and no. No. The 116's gun showing its true gamerness right there. I don't know what else to say. This tank's gun is so inaccurate. And you can see there, I was able to hit the second shot, but it went low and almost missed his tank. And it would have just bounced off his tracks if it had gone any lower. So, yeah. This tank's gun is really the main killer of it. And it could be better. It could easily be better if they gave it a better aim time or even just better dispersion. Honestly, I wish they would give it more dispersion over aim time because, honestly, the aim time is workable. The dispersion is not. So, even with that miss, we were still able to deal almost 6,000 damage in this first battle. A very solid game, and we were able to put ourselves in a good position to farm that damage. Next up, game number 2, the second replay of my 100 battle session. This is on Oasis, and for a lot of the battles I played in this tank, I played it on mobile. Not that that really makes much of a difference, but you will see the aiming on this replay looks a little bit shaky or a little bit janky, and that's just how mobile goes. So, of course, up against us we have an E100 Yag, Cent 7-1 Badger, Caro. A lot of tanks that could go either side of the map, to be honest. I would expect their E100 to be going heavy side, and maybe their mediums to be splitting and going medium side, but who knows? And because I'm not sure where my team's going, like the Super Conk kind of going mid, the T30, our Caro, for some reason, going this way, I'm going to go heavy side. And our T100 friend there is going to do a fantastic job this battle of spotting up mid. You can see that initial T100 spot is really, really powerful, and it allows him to get instant info on where the enemy team is going. So you can see, of course, I don't know what this Badger's doing. I don't even know if he knows what he's doing. But anyways, we get a free shell into him. The gun accuracy this game is going to really work well for me, for the most part. Now, I'm going to be pushing up more aggressive now that I know where their team is. Of course, the E100 is crossing, so I'm going to stop, fully aim in my shot, and we hit a lovely shot on the side of his turret there. You have to really lead your shots in this tank. You don't have very much... oh god, I can't think of the word. You don't have much shell velocity, that's it. So you really have to lead your shots, especially from long distance, but this is a heavy tank that is not meant for long distance. Wargaming, why does this tank have no armor then? If this is meant for close quarters combat, it should at least have good turret armor like the 113. Why would you drive this sort of vehicle when you could drive a Type 71, which is completely free, a 60 TP, which is free and has literally more alpha damage and pretty much the same accuracy? Obviously, the Type has way more armor. You can drive an AMX, which has a very similar playstyle, but honestly, the gun on that thing feels better than this. I don't know. This tank really needs something. Either give it more mobility and gun depression, or just give it more accuracy and Bob's your uncle. That's it. Or more armor. Like, one of those three things needs to happen for this tank to not be complete dog water. So, luckily for us, the C100 is pretty clueless, and we're able to get a free shot into his side there. So, already we're at 2,500 damage. I have not lost any of my HP, which is very nice at this sort of stage in the battle where we are down 3 tanks and the enemy team is only down 1. So, of course, I do need to conserve my HP as much as possible. And that is why I am not pushing in towards the front line. There's no point in me moving, even if I am technically sniping at the back of the map. There's no point for me to move when I'm getting shots into the enemy players. Unfortunately, that was the lamest HE I think I've ever fired in this thing, so it only deals 31 damage, and the E100 is allowed to live. But I do see the Ho-Ri is sitting in the open, and I was going to shoot at him until the Centurion decided to roll off to my side. And this is where having my full HP is going to be useful. The E100 unfortunately hits me once, and that's not going to help me later on. But anyways, the Centurion is also now shooting at me. So I'm going to back up so the E100 can no longer get more shells into me, and I'm going to focus mainly on this player here. But you can see here, even a tier 9 medium, bro is buttering through my frontal armor here. You can see one of the shells that penned me was, of course, in the lower plate, and he's just able to see my lower plate, and even when angling this tank, it doesn't really matter because, yeah, I don't know. This just has no armor. But luckily for us, we were able to finish off the scent. But the problem is now we're at 1,000 health, and the TVP has obviously more alpha damage in its clip than 1,000. So, most likely if this TVP were to rush us, we would be dead. But it doesn't look like he's going to be doing that right now. We're at 5,200 damage, and we're getting still more shells into these enemy players who are sitting in the open. Now, it would be nice if our teammate did pick up the kill on the C100, but I'll do it anyways just to get that goober out of the game. Unfortunately for me, I am now extremely worried about this TVP because he has been unspotted for almost 30 seconds. And wow, that shell went exactly where I wanted it to. But here we go, guys. TVP rolls off to my side. I really just need him to bounce one shell. But because I'm in the 116 F3, luckily I do get a nice HE into his side. Can I bounce the last shell? No, I can't. Again, even when angling that tank, you can see here, I did angle it a decent amount, but it doesn't matter because, again, the tank's side armor is so terrible that if I angle it enough to block the shots from my lower plate, people can just pen you in the side armor now. Luckily for me, we do win this battle, which is actually kind of crazy considering how many tanks we were down before in the early game. But with that sad death out of the way, I was able to pick up over 6,000 damage in this battle, so pretty much an ideal situation for this tank. Bro, we got a sniper medal in this tank. And here we are in the final battle on Normandy. So, this is a map that has a lot of hilly terrain, and for a tank that only has 6 degrees of gun depression paired with non-existent armor, this is not going to be a very good matchup for me, because they do have a Caro, a Sheridan E5, which is a very, very good haul-down tank, an IS-7, which has more turret armor than me, and yeah, 183 that can completely nuke me. So, I'm going to have to play very careful, and I'm going to have to really pick and choose where I position my tank. So, I'm going to go heavy side. I do see my team playing more towards this side of the map anyways, and that means that I will do the same. This sort of tank, never go by yourself. It's just a death sentence. You will get completely overrun, and because your modules are, like, so weak, everything that pens you will pretty much damage either your driver, your ammo rack, your gunner, whatever, bro. Everything is going to get damaged in this, because, of course, we love Chinese engineering, as I said. Made in China moment right there, but anyways, I do take a shot here, and I'm basically going to hold off these heavy tanks, because luckily their team did go the same direction. It's better, honestly, that their team went this way, because if they had all gone towards A and B and flanked our spawn, and then, like, they had a TD sitting back there, we would have been in an awful position to kind of hold. But their team is making the super aggressive play, so I'm going to sit back and sort of farm out as much damage as I can here. We're at 1,000 damage already, and luckily for us, that Sheridan is making some pretty bad pokes, so I'm able to get some shells into him. And getting that HP bled out on the Sheridan as much as possible early game is going to be super important to end game. I'm going to try to get a shell into the T95. Unfortunately, I screw up that quite badly, and it just doesn't pen. So, I also get penned back by the Sheridan, I'm pretty sure, but oh my god, that T95 took one to the face, and many more. So, we do get another shell into the Sheridan, and we're at 1,500 damage, but our Rhino does take one for the team and dies. So, at this point, again, I don't know what this Sheridan's doing. Bro could easily have flanked the map by now, and got into our rears, and completely tormented us, but he's decided to sit in front of my vehicle for like 3 or 4 consecutive shots. So we're at 2,000 damage so far. We're doing a decent job here, but our, yeah, our Conqueror didn't do the best of plays there. So now we're in an awkward position where the Sheridan is now kind of getting behind us towards A, and they have a lot of haul down tanks that can easily pen my turret in front of me like this E5. So I would love to get this guy out of the game, and I am going to try to do so. Of course, I do have a lot of pen And luckily for me, the E5 wasn't facing me, so I was able to use my AP shells to get a nice high roll of 519 into his vehicle. But I'm going to try and use this rock as cover. I'm actually really lucky that that E5 hit my track at an odd angle, and he did, in fact, bounce off, and we were able to pen him once again. So, he is a one-shot. I'm, of course, going to try to get the hatch shot into him, but he misses. He moves last second, and I miss. So, very sad stuff right there. It's a 3 versus 4. They have a lot of HP left, and they have a 183 who can pretty much nuke my entire HP pool with one single shot. However, Bro is now on 400 health. That is really unfortunate that I did bounce the 183's horribly troll armor, but oh well. He doesn't seem to be looking at me, so I'm going to poke him and finish him off, dealing 469 damage. So right now we're at 4,000 damage, which is not too bad. Of course, this E5 I do want to get out of the game, like, ASAP, so I'm just going to kind of poke him, quite aggressive here. But hello, there's the Caro as well with him. So, in this situation, I would love to just YOLO this, but I actually don't need to. My nice heat pen is able to butter right through the E5's turret, and we're at 4,100 damage. Now, this was looking a little bit sus there for a second, because of course they had a lot of base cap and 2 bases capped. So if the Caro didn't just die there, and was able to kill our 183 off, that would have been a bit of a different situation. But we're able to get a nice on-the-move shot into the WZ-114, and that brings us up to 4,600 damage. Am I able to get any more damage out this game? Let's find out. There we go. A whole 88. I don't know what else to say, but this game was pretty solid. 4,700 damage. I did have a couple of 4,700 games, but this one I thought was fairly interesting. So there you go. Overall, the gun did not troll us that game either. But again, this does not really showcase the amount of times this gun has failed me in so many battles that I played in it. It's really, really sad. Guys, do not spend your money on this tank. It is not worth it in any way, shape, or form. Even if you get lucky, this tank will still not be enjoyable to play. Doesn't matter if you get it for like $5, $500, really doesn't matter. This tank is not very good at all. And honestly, for newer players, just stay away altogether. But anyways, for any of you out there who are not yet subscribed to my channel, I highly recommend you do so, as it's a fantastic way to support my content, live streams, videos, you name it, and stay up to date when I do post those sometimes, almost daily. And with that, I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.